Hi everyone, this is Urvashi. I'll be your trainer for the day. I will guide you through the process. I will be your host for the day. So we'll just wait for another minute and then we'll get started. Okay, till everyone joins, we can just interact. So Suraj have raised the hand. Any questions? Okay. So before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Urvashi Singla and I'm a professional trainer. Started my career as a software developer, and in the same, I worked on the same tech stack. And currently, I'm working as a corporate trainer, as a freelancer corporate trainer. So yeah, that's about me. I think we can start. So before we go into technology part, I just want you guys to understand the agenda that we have for the day. You guys must have filled the form for attending this session. So today's agenda is basically learning one advanced UI technology, that is React.js. So now this is the today's agenda. Firstly, you guys need to understand that you guys need to have basic knowledge of class-based components, what is React.js and why React.js. Okay, because the topic that we are going to cover today, it's going to be an advanced topic of React. So to go there, I am assuming you guys have basic knowledge of class base, what are states, what are props, what is React.js, who introduced React.js and why React.js. Okay, let's say if someone doesn't know, so what I'll do initially, I'll give you guys a brief about React.js, okay, so that everyone should be on the same page. Those who already have the basic knowledge, it's great. Those who don't have, okay, so I'll give you guys a brief so that everyone should be on the same page. So first of all, React.js was introduced by Facebook, okay, in the year around 2013. So I think everyone must be knowing, since they have come for this session, why they introduced React.js. It's advanced UI technology. When we talk about front-end, HTML, CSS, and JS is going to be our basic technologies that we have for the front-end. And we talk about front-end advanced UI, we have React.js, we have Vue.js, we have AngularJS. Okay, so in that we are picking React.js, and in that React.js specifically, we are going to pick function-based component as the topic, React hooks, which is an advanced topic, useState and useEffect, and hands-on action, use case on hook. Okay, that is what we are going to see today. So anyone, you guys can just drop in the chat box, anyone who doesn't have any idea about React.js. You guys can unmute yourself or drop in the chat box who doesn't have any idea. Okay. All right, got it. Okay, you guys don't have, yes, you don't have that. I have to allow. If someone want to speak, just tell me in the chat box. Okay. So guys, React.js is an advanced UI technology, just like you have basic technologies as HTML, CSS. We have React.js as the advanced UI technology. So we have a lot of basic concepts that we call as building blocks of React.js, like components, functions, then we have props, then we have state. These are the three basic building blocks that we have. Okay, I was literally assuming you guys might be knowing, basic. That's why we picked for advanced topic of React. Okay, but let me just explain basics. Then only I think we can go for the advanced part. So I've already added few PPTs so that at least you guys get a clear picture what we are going to talk about. Okay, those who have basic knowledge of React, it's totally great. Okay, those who don't have, I've already added 1 or 2 slides so that you guys understand. Since you all are already working professionals, so you guys will understand the basics of it easily. So in React.js, like I said, there are 3 building blocks, prop, state, and component. So component is like your function or a class. Okay, so in ES6, you guys must have seen what is a class-based component. Okay, so classes, inheritance, all that concept that you guys must have studied in ECMAScript 6 that we use here. Okay, firstly, React.js, we write ECMAScript 6. Okay, those who don't know ECMAScript 6, it's a 6th version of JavaScript. Okay, so that is what we are going to use in React.js. Okay, secondly, we need some setup for React.js. Those who don't have any setup, they can use online editor. Okay, you guys can try JS Fiddle. I'll just guide you through like what the way I will be doing coding so that you guys can also participate. You guys can use online editor for the day because if you go into React setup, that alone process takes more than an hour to do the setup of React.js. Okay. Apart from that, this is what we have as component, something that is a class, okay, or something that is a function. Okay. So in function-based component, we are going to use function to create it. Okay, these pointers are very minimalistic and clear. So when you have a function-based component, that means in React.js, we are going to create some function. Okay, that function is going to be a normal function using ECMAScript 6. That is with arrow function we are going to create it. Okay. Those who don't know what is an arrow function, it's basically a syntax or different syntax of writing a function that was introduced in ECMAScript 6. Okay, and here we are going to use class to create a component. That is again introduced in ES6, the concept of classes inheritance. That is what we are going to use here. Okay, now function-based components are also called stateless component, UI component, and class-based components are also called container components and state component. Now, function-based components doesn't have a state. Now, team state is nothing but a JavaScript object. Okay, state is nothing but a JS object, that is JavaScript object. Function-based component doesn't have a state. So team state is basically the place all your data resides. For example, whenever I'm signing up into any application, let's say I'm signing up into Facebook. So I will enter my email ID, I will enter my password, I will just click on sign up. So API call will happen. Okay. And once API call will happen, my data will go and resides inside the database. So next time when I log in into Facebook, I will again enter my email ID, password, I will click on login. So before we go to the API, we need to store some data. So in JS, if I talk about plain JavaScript, we used to store data in a normal variable. Let's say I will create a variable with var, I will create a variable with let. But in case of React.js, we store all that dynamic data inside the state. Okay, so state is nothing but a JS object which resides rest of the data, like your first name, your last name, your email ID, your password. Okay, so before doing any API hit, definitely even if you guys have tried creating a form in JavaScript, you guys must have experienced getting the data from the user and then store it in a form of object and then sending it to the API, to the database through API. Okay, same process is followed here. The only difference is we use state as a medium in which we are going to store the data. So that state is going to be a JS object. So in class-based components, this state is available, but in function-based component, this state is not available. Okay, so if you don't have any state data, you don't have any variable data and all that part. So how you're going to get the dynamic data? So we are going to receive that data through props. Okay, so props is nothing but properties. It's a shorthand for properties that when you want to send data from one component to another component, that is what we call as the props. So we send data from parent to child in React.js using props. Okay. And there is one topic introduced again in React.js, that is lifecycle components. Okay. Again, specifically this topic, lifecycle. I'm not going too much into deep here. Lifecycle is basically we have predefined methods. Just like you have lifecycle of a human being, we have a lifecycle of a butterfly. The same way we have a lifecycle of a component over here, which is available only in class-based components again. Okay. Class-based component are basically the ones where we majorly write the logic. They are not much concerned with the UI means. We are going to put logic here, data updation, all that part will happen here. And in function-based components, since there is no state, there is no dynamic data, they are mostly going to be used to display the data part. That is only the UI. Okay. Those who don't have any idea about React, this will just give you a heads up, like what is a types of component. As I said, component is one of the most important topics or factors or building block we need in React.js. Okay. And firstly, we have function-based component, and then we have class-based. These are just these are the main differences. That is the difference between a class base and a function base. Okay. So for today, if you guys see the agenda, we are going to pick specifically the function based component. Okay. This is what we are going to pick, function based component over there. So that's why I explain you guys the basic difference so that we can see the advanced topic like React hooks. Any questions, anyone? Guys, there is a Q&A section. You guys can answer your question if you have, because you guys are not supposed to unmute, or you can drop in the chat box as well. Any questions till now, anyone? Adarsh, Aditi, Akash, Akhil. Two questions? Okay. Now moving on to the state data. Okay. Again, since as I said, we are going to start majorly with the function base today. I've added this one slide just for your knowledge, those who don't have basic knowledge of these. Okay, Manpreet has question, can we create app without class component? Yes, we can create an application used without class-based components nowadays because we have advanced topic like React hooks. Okay. Mostly, no, we can pass data from one class component to another class component. So we can have props inside the class-based component as well. Okay. Okay, so we save the data initially, whatever the state data you have created, Aditi. So when you click, let's on click of a button submit. So we do set state. So we have to update the state to set the data inside the state. And there is only one method that we have to update the state. That is called set state. Okay. Pulkit, I'll give your answer later. Okay, Rajit have class. Okay, Rajit, yes, if we talk about version 16.8 and before for React.js, so guys, React.js have a lot of versions. Okay, even if you see latest one is 18, that is released this year. Before that, we had 17, which was introduced in 2020. So if you guys are using version of React.js 16.8 and below, then yes, I would say class container is the only responsible for business logic. But yes, if you're using 16.8 and above, you have a topic called React hooks. Through those, you can put a business logic in function-based component as well. Avinash, there is no disadvantage of using class-based as such. The only thing is, once these components can also have a state. Okay, till now, what I'm saying, this is the main difference we have if you're using React.js version 16.8 and below. Okay, but yes, after that, that is the reason today's agenda is advanced topic of React.js, that is React hooks. In that React hook, we will see how we can add a state inside a function-based component, how we can have a business logic in function-based component. That is the reason React hooks was introduced. Yes, we will go to the coding part after. I'll just give you overview theoretically. Okay. Rajit, state basically means a JS object where all your data is going to be residing. Okay, so guys, if you talk about real time, we majorly use Visual Studio Code. Okay, otherwise we have a lot of text editor like Sublime is there, Bracket is there, Atom is there. So in real time, even if you're working on a project in India or outside India internationally, we major prefer this. Okay, I think I've covered all the questions. Any questions? Is it left? Okay. Those who actually added question in Q&A, okay, I like vocally I explain those questions because if I start typing, it will take a lot of time. Okay, now I think we can move on. So this is the basic difference we have. Now, this is just a basic knowledge of state. Since in React hooks, we are going to create a state inside a function-based component. So this is just a bit of theoretical explanation that we have. Someone has question? Okay. Now, state is basically going to be a JS object. So that is what I've written. It's a collection of data that resides inside your component. Okay, a data that is going to be inside your component. For now, I'm saying only class-based components have state. Okay, till now we don't have any knowledge of function-based component. We don't have any knowledge of, let's say, how to create a state inside a function-based component. So I will just assume right now only class-based components have state. So it's a collection of data. That means you can have your first name, last name, email ID, password, all your data, and that is what going to reside inside your component. So state is used so that we can keep a track of information. So team, apart from this, I mean, definitely a lot of people don't have basic knowledge of React. I'll just give some topic names. For example, virtual DOM, single page application. You can jot it down if you want. Virtual DOM, single page application. We have reconciliation and diffing algorithms. So these are the 4 important terms. And apart from that, we have unidirectional data flow. These are the things, these are the basic things also get introduced when we talk about React.js. Virtual DOM. Okay, then we have single page applications. So whenever you're starting with React.js, these are the topics, whatever I'm saying, you guys should have good knowledge of these. Then reconciliation process, diffing algorithm, unidirectional data flow. Okay. This is something you guys should know. Right now, I'm not going into explaining that because again, it will take time and the topic that we are actually connecting to that would be left. Okay, but I'm just giving you a heads up, like these are the topics you should definitely know if you are starting with React.js. Okay, since we have a concept of state, we have a concept of virtual DOM. This pointer is actually explaining that in state we can keep a track of information between any render. That means, for example, initially, let's say in Facebook, my name is Urvashi. Okay, then I changed my name to Elena. So now what is happening? This is Urvashi is the name that is inside the state. Now I'm changing my state data to Elena. So that means whenever you have any dynamic data team, you have to store it inside a state because state is the only data that gets updated inside the React.js. So initially, if my name is Urvashi in Facebook, I will change it to Elena. And one more piece of advice, always when you talk about React.js, just relate it with Facebook because Facebook is the company who introduced this. Okay. Okay, if we get in the time in the end, I'll explain through the Facebook account, my account, like how React is working there if we get time. But this is the company introduced. Definitely the reason they introduced was there were a lot of server requests. Okay, so to handle those server requests better, that is the reason Facebook introduced React.js. So if you guys see, whenever you log in into Facebook, okay, maybe I can show you guys now. You go to Facebook. If you go to any tab now, if I go to this tab, okay, marketplace or this one, if you see, page will not be refreshed. Okay. You guys can check the Facebook at your end. Your page will not be refreshed at that place. Okay. So how it is happening because of React.js. So now the data that is not changing, we are not going to send requests for that. Otherwise, if you guys have observed Amazon, if you see for any product, if I click on, okay, a request will be sent to the server and server will return me this HTML page. Okay, that is how React.js, this is the reason React.js was introduced initially. Okay, that server request, because if you talk about around 2011, a lot of internet users, smartphone users, and again, technology was evolving with the time. So there were a lot of server requests on the Facebook database. Okay, that is the reason Facebook introduced this React.js. So if there is a engineer named Jordan used React.js. Okay. Now, this is what it explains here. Whenever you try to change the name in your Facebook, you guys can try it for fun today and then later on change it back to the original one. Your name will be stored in state and that state gets updated. State data gets updated. Okay. So states are objects. You can create state as an object like this. I think everyone knows how we create a object. Obj is equal to these curly braces and then we put property value pairs inside this. Okay, that actually determining how your component is rendering and the behavior. And they are mutable. Anyone who can quickly tell me what is mutable in the chat box? What is the meaning of mutable? Changing. Exactly. That is absolutely correct. Like I said, whatever data we have, we are going to put it inside the state. And state, since they are mutable, we are able to change it. Mutable means can be updated, can be changed. Okay, that is the meaning of mutable. Unlike the props, props are immutable. Okay, you cannot change the value of props. That's why I've mentioned that here. And since the state data is mutable, you are able to create dynamic and interactive components. Okay, I'm assuming everyone knows what is dynamic and interactive because this is what JavaScript is. The JavaScript is basically a dynamic and interactive nature to our website. If still anyone doesn't know what is dynamic and interactive, please drop in the chat box. I'll explain because JS is exactly what dynamic and interactive website is. Okay, and we access the state via this dot state. Okay, quickly I'm explaining these two terms, Steve. Dynamic means something that is changing. For example, if you guys order anything in Amazon, so whenever you have purchased some product, so your data is getting updated there. Okay, let's say I ordered something, so I can go back to my whatever is the history of that website. For example, if I'm ordering something from Zomato, I can see the order history. That is what dynamic is. Okay, interactive means right now, if you guys see, we are interactive through Zoom. Okay, so we are using an application and we are interacting through the Zoom. So earlier, what used to happen, like before lockdown, if I talk about, we used to go to stores to buy something. So physically, we were interacting with the people. Okay, or maybe I was going to the office, I was going for the training. So physically, I used to interact with the people. But nowadays, I do everything virtually. So I'm interacting with you guys virtually. But before I interact with you guys, I'm interacting with the one application, that is Zoom application. Okay, so it's same when you order something from Amazon. It's about the business. That is the reason this application is created. Okay, we developers see it as we have developed it, why this application is developed it. But at the end of the day, that application is developed for the business. Okay, so before those people, those who are going to dispatch your order, going to pack your order online, okay, before going there, you're interactive. And whenever you say something, basically you need a response. If I'm saying something, I need a response from you guys. That is what interactive is. Okay, that is when you order something, you get a response from the other end that you like order has been purchased, track your order, see the order history and all that part. Okay, that is what dynamic and interactive is. These are the two important terms when we talk about JS. Okay, and we access state via this dot state. Okay, this is the basic about the state data. Okay, I'm assuming now you guys have got the main idea of React types of component. Now, what is function-based component? That is, it doesn't have a state. It is going to receive data via props. We use function to create it, and it is majorly concerned with here. Okay, class-based, like I have explained a brief, but yes, the topics that I've said, you guys can just, I think someone has dropped in the chat box. You can just copy paste and use those. Okay, now coming back to the topic that we are here today, that is useState. Okay, I'll give you guys a very basic example before we go to actually what useState is. Firstly, use this hooks concept. It is introduced in React.js in 16.8 version and above. So if you want to use hook, your React application version should be 16.8 and above. Firstly, this is important. Okay. Secondly, you guys need to understand these hooks are specifically introduced for function-based component. Okay, they have to do nothing with the class-based components. And hooks is a vast topic. From that, we are going to pick two things today. One is going to be useState and one is going to be useEffect. Okay, so useState is a very, again, hooks is a very vast topic. useState is one of the hooks we are going to pick today. Okay. Now, let me just take an example. Let's say we are using Myntra. Okay, I think everyone must have heard of the company name Myntra. So earlier, it's an application, let's say assume it's created with React.js. So whenever you guys used to purchase something from Amazon initially, it just, you do the, let's say I'm purchasing some top from there. I'm just doing the adding my details, I did the payment. Once your payment is done, it is used to show something like, thank you for shopping with us. Okay, that is what Myntra used to display. But from past, I think 3-4 years that I've literally experienced, I'm just telling this from my experience, they have changed. So now it's written, thank you for shopping with us, Plus it shows one more thing, that is for whom you are purchasing this. So if you are purchasing for yourself, then it will just record the size of your top that you are ordering. And if you're purchasing for someone else, it will just ask for the details of that person. You have to click on for whom you are purchasing. So you have to give user input. That means you need a form there. And when you have a form team, I think in JS, you all must be knowing you need to capture the data of the user. But as I said, there is no state inside a function-based component. And when you don't have any state, you don't have a place where you can store the data. You can create the form, but you cannot store the data inside the function-based component. Okay, that is the problem. That was the issue that Mitra was facing. So that is what it is written here. If you want to write a function component, and if you write a function component and later you realize you want to add state, some state to it, previously you had to convert it to a class-based component. So what I will do, I will wipe out my complete code file. I will add a class-based component. This is what we used to do earlier. But with the introduction of useState hook, now you can use hook inside the existing function component. Okay, so that is what useState is used for. useState is used to add the hooks, that is a React state inside the function-based component. Okay, so hook is nothing but a special function. Okay, so your useState is also a function. It's a special function which is available only in function-based component. And this useState hook is going to allow me to add state inside a function-based component. Okay, I hope everyone got the Myntra example. And those who are wondering why they're asking for capturing the, let's say, for whom you are purchasing, if you see, that is the marketing and sales strategy they are using. So next time, in fact, I'm saying it with my personal experience. So now I get notification from Myntra of all the tops of the same size. That's why they asked me for that data. Okay. So now I don't have to convert my function-based component to a class-based component, because now I can create a state inside function-based component as well using useState hook. Clear? Anyone has any questions so far? Please drop in the chat box, or you guys can drop in the Q&A as well. Anyone? Okay. All right. Now, there are three things that we need to understand. Firstly, what does useState do? That is clear. It's the definition written right here. It's a hook that lets you add React state to function-based component. Second thing comes, what does it return and how to display the state variables. Okay, that is what we're going to see through code now. Guys, this is just, this is how a React app looks. Those who don't know, this is how it 45 minutes to actually do its setup and all that part. So I can't go into that process. That's why I said I am assuming you have basic, but you guys can try JS Fiddle. I'll just give you guys the link. So just Google JS Fiddle. So you guys can try out the code here. Okay, React code, whatever I will be writing. So here you just need to select the library here, React, and you guys can select this one. Okay, you can select this JavaScript plus React. I'll just give you guys this link in the chat box. Those who have the setup, go ahead, use the app only. So you have to write a code only in this space. Okay, no need to do anything in HTML and CSS. Only in JS you can write the code. And since I already have the app, so I'm using Visual Studio Code here as the text editor. And this is how this folder looks. Now in this app.js team, this is the place we write the code. In React.js team, like in basic tech stack, we write HTML file, we create CSS file. Here we don't write any HTML file. There is only one HTML file that is inside the public JS. Okay. So we don't use any HTML. We only write JS files here. Okay. Like I said, in React.js, whatever we write is going to be a component. Either it's a class-based or it's a function-based. Okay. Now you guys must be wondering, let's say in HTML, the reason we are able to see that content of HTML in UI because of the DOM structure that gets created for the HTML. So that will be created here as well. because here we write JSX. JSX is nothing but a JavaScript extension, syntax extension that allows to put HTML code inside the JavaScript. Okay. If you see, classes is a concept of JavaScript and I am writing HTML code inside it. So that means, I mean, this is a syntax. Those who are not familiar with the syntax, no worries. I'll explain, but this is the new thing that is JSX. Okay. So if someone asks you apart from the topic, Pawan has dropped in the chat box, this is another thing you can explain JSX. This is one of the features introduced in React.js, where you can write HTML code inside the JavaScript code. Okay. Now, this is, I'll just give you guys an overview, the syntax of class space. Okay. This is how we write class. Class is a keyword, class name extends. So if you have seen inheritance concept in ES6, okay, you can go through it. That is what I've written here, extends component. And this component is coming from this module called React. And this, all these modules that we're going to import, these all are available in node modules folder. Okay. This is the place you guys create the state. You can create a constructor function as well, like with the concept of inheritance, every class has a constructor function. You can create state inside the constructor or directly as a method that I talked to here. This is the place I talked about it. That is the lifecycle method. And inside this, we write the return. So this render method knows when I have, these all are asynchronous. That means they know when they need to execute. Okay. So we don't have to call them from anywhere. We just need to define it here. So this is all going to be a fixed values. Okay. Now this class name you can change. You need to add HTML. These variable names you can change. The state object properties that I'm writing, that you can change. Okay. But render, return, extends, component, class, these are going to be fixed. And you have to export it. Why we export this? So that we can import it in index.js file. Okay. Index.js file is basically a mandatory file. Whenever you guys will do the setup, you already have this file written. Okay, you will already see all these files. Index.html code will be like this. And in app.js, this is the place you have to start writing the code. Okay, I'm not going into too much into folder structure for now. So here, this is what you will see here, like this. Here, you guys will mostly see function-based component. Just wipe out the code and create a class base initial. Okay, or you can keep it as a function base, but change the syntax from function keyword to the arrow function. Okay, this is how the syntax of class base looks. And to access this state team, we are using this keyword. I think this keyword you guys must have seen in JavaScript. This keyword is used to refer to some object. So here, this keyword is referring to the app. And since it's a function, and whenever you are using any property inside a function or which belongs to something else. So if I hover, you can see state is a property that belongs to app and render is a method that belongs to app. Okay. So here to access this property that belongs to app, we need to use this keyword. Because in this case, this keyword is referring to the owner where function is residing. Your function is residing inside this app. Okay, so owner of this function is app. Owner of this state is app. So you have to use this keyword here. Okay, this keyword, if I hover, you guys can see this over here. Okay, dot state dot first name. This is how we access the property values of an object. Any questions in this syntax? And whatever I've imported team, it's coming from this node modules. Okay. Whenever you guys do a node setup, so team, before we actually start with React, you guys need to have basic knowledge of node as well. Okay. So that whatever packages we get from the Node.js, node modules, NPM, those comes and resides inside this. Okay, this is how class-based component looks. This is, I've written like predefined. Now for function, I'll create a new file here. I will say display.js, let's say. Okay. Now here from scratch, I'll write the code. So you guys can start writing the code. Maybe you guys might not have the setup for React. If it's there, it's great. If not, then use JS Fitter. Okay. So this is how we will include import React from React. So we are creating function-based component. So firstly, like I said, we are going to use arrow function ES6. So we are going to use ES6 syntax team. So I will say cos display at arrow. This is the syntax of at arrow team. Okay, I'm adding here arrow, or we call it as at arrow. It's a topic again introduced in ESS. Now inside this team, the difference here is you cannot create a state, you cannot create a render here. Okay, so but you can only create a return. That's it. And here I'm going to use React.fragment instead of div. Okay. Why we use React.fragment? Those who already know React, it's a learning for you and for others as well. Div, when you add div, I think everyone must be knowing what is a DOM structure, document object model. So when you use div team, it takes a memory in your browser. Okay, but when you use React.fragment, it will be a part of your DOM, but it will not take any memory. Okay. And why we need this? Okay, maybe you guys might be thinking, since we are writing HTML, I can directly write 2 p tags here. Okay. But this will give you an error because here you can see JSX expressions must have one parent element. That means you need to wrap both the p's inside one element. So instead of writing div there, we are going to write React.fragment because React.fragment won't take any memory space in the browser. Then I have export default the function. That is display. Why we are exporting it? So team, in React.js, we work in a modular structure. Okay. So for one task, I'm going to create one component. So if you see these app.display.js file, in real time, we have around 30 to 35 of such files in real time, or maybe more than that. Those who have already worked on React.js project, or maybe already working, they must have seen. We go for modular approach. Okay. So what we have to do at the end of the day, app is going to be a main root component. Okay. Main root component that will directly or indirectly hold rest of the components. Okay. So all the components that you are creating. Okay. Let's say this one. I will say hello. I will say world. If I want to see this output in UIT, okay, I have to import this component here because, like I said, this is the main component that we see that goes inside the UI. Okay, once you put it here, you have to make it up that we write here. You can include them like a tag, self-closing tag of HTML. Okay. Now, just a bit of knowledge why I'm saying app is the only root component, because team index.js, this is the place we say app component need to be rendered. Okay. When you say app component need to be rendered, and we have one React DOM. So how we read it, we say we are saying this thing to React DOM, render app component wherever this root ID is present. Okay. This root ID is present inside index.html file in this place. And whenever I say return something from this component, I'm talking about this div part. Okay. So how it's going to work, it is going to take this part and it is going to render our code inside the real DOM, browser DOM. That is this div. Okay. That is the relationship all these files have. That's why we don't prefer to change anything in these files. Okay. So index.html, I have already, this is a, you will get this whenever you will do the setup. Okay. So in index.js, this is also you will get. So here it's written, render app component wherever this ID is present. Okay. Or in index.js file, I'm saying app component, that means this component. And whenever I say read this component, return something. Okay. We talk about this div part. Okay. Again, this is just a quick overview. We'll go to the main part, that is function-based component. So whenever we say function-based component, I will be talking about this part. So this part will go and it will come and sit here, as this is the main component that will go inside the real DOM. Okay. Now, as I said, these doesn't have a state, but yes, with the introduction of useState, we can create the hook. We can create the state here. Okay, this is how we create. It's all predefined, const, curly, square brackets is equal to useState. And as I said, useState is a special function. I've mentioned that here. It's a special function. Okay. So now team, it's going to be, syntax will be predefined. If you see when the moment I added useState, it added here as well. So useState is a predefined method hook coming from React module. This module is inside node modules. Okay. Now, Inside this, we pass two things. One is going to be the state variable and another is going to be your method to update it. Okay. In class-based component, those who don't know, we use set state. So whenever someone asks you how to update a state in a React.js, we say set state. This is again a method. Okay. This is the only way we can update. But in case of function-based component, there is no state, there is no set state method. So how we are going to update it if we are creating a set state variable? So here, this is, so I'm writing how the form a method to update it. So for each variable, you have to create a method. So let's say I will create first name here, comma, I will say set first name. So that means I'm creating a state variable that is first name and I'm creating a method to update it. Okay. Secondly, there is no rule we use set word here. It is just a practice that has been followed and everyone follows it in hooks actually. If you see any real-time project, or you can check it on GitHub as well, if you have not worked on real-time project of React, this set word that you guys see here, it's a rule that we have started following. Otherwise, you can give any name. Okay, and I hope everyone knows in JS, we use camel casing here. And in useState, you guys need to include the initial value. Let's say I will say Elena. So you can read it something like first name is equal to Elena. This is the initial value you are assigning to Elena. First name, that is Elena. Okay, this is how you can read it. So Elena is the initial value assigned to the variable first name. Okay, and this is its method to update. Now we can create, let's say, cost age, set age, use state. Let's say initial, I want to assign it to 20. So again, 20 is my age. It's a number. It's initial value. I want to assign it to the age. So now 20 is assigned to age. Now set age, again a method I have to create every time. So here I've written, what does useState return? useState return two things. That is the state variable and the method to update it. That is what useState return. Okay. And this is the syntax you guys have to follow, like square brackets will come. Only two things can come here. State variable and method to update it is equal to, in useState, in this round brace. It's a method, it's a hook. We have to use initial value here. Okay. Yes, Rajit, that's absolutely correct. Basically, it's an array destructuring. Okay. Array destructuring. This is the concept. Again, it's a concept introduced in year 6. So those who don't know, they can study it, but this is actually array destructuring only. That is the reason we say useState returns two things. One is going to be a state variable, another is going to be a method to update it. Okay. Now, if you see class-based component, this is how you create a class inside a class, state inside a class-based component. Okay, like an object, you include those values like this. And this is how you are creating a state inside function-based component. Okay. Definitely, team, you can create objects as well. Here you can create any data type, primitive, non-primitive, any data type. Let's say I will say person, object. I will say object. So I will say name, colon, Harry. Age, colon, let's say 30. So this is how we can create it. Like here you have created object, here also you can do that object. You guys can create arrays as well. So for array, let's say, I will say array, comma set array, use state. So initial array value will be this. So right now what will happen? This value will be assigned to this array. Okay. One more thing, Tim, this is the initial value. You have to put something here. Don't keep it empty. Keep some value here. Okay. And lastly, we have how we can display this data in the UI. Okay. So whatever is the variable name, just come here. See, we here use curly braces. Okay. So instead of this hello, I will use curly braces now. So wherever you have state data, or you can put it that way, dynamic data, or you can say set data. Okay. Here also, if you see state data, I have included inside this curly braces. Okay. And if there it's a normal data, okay, you can put it like this. But if you have a state data, you have to put it inside this curly braces. So that is what I will write here first. That's it. And here, let's say I will say age. Let's in this p tag, I'm going to display the array. I hope I'm writing it here. Map function. It's a array helper function introduced in ES6. One more thing, team, I'm using this ES6 a lot of times I've used. Those who don't know, before you actually go with React.js, ES6 is a prerequisite. You should have good knowledge of HTML, CSS, and JS plus ECMAScript 6. Then only you can work on React.js. So now I will display the array. To display array, I will use map function. Map is a function, okay? It takes one callback function and it always returns something. Here also I will say React.fragment. Let's say. Now in this callback function, it holds the value of the element, and that is what will be displayed here. So those who don't know map function is an array helper function introduced in ES6. Okay. This part, why we use it like this, because it takes a callback function. It's all predefined. This callback function takes a parameter, which is a array element, that is this array elements. Okay. And it all map function always return something. So that is what it will return, that is element. Those who don't know, you can put map function works like a loop. Okay, so if you want to display an array, how will you display? Using JS, using loops. So map function works like loops. Okay, it will work till the last element. Okay, those who don't know, you want to learn more about it, just check this in ES6. Okay, someone asked, can you maintain HTML? Rajit, no, you cannot put this part in some other file, then it would be of no use. Okay. As I said, in every file that you guys create, it has to be a class-based or a function-based component. Okay. We can do one thing, we can break it down a bit. Okay. Anyways, if you guys think logically, we are putting actually HTML part in every file, because as I said, if this, when I'm saying this component is going to return something, it's going to return this HTML part only. When I say this component is going to return something, it's going to return this HTML part only. Okay, so we are actually putting HTML code only in separate files. So now here you guys can just relate. If you, when you guys create a header, a navigation bar, okay, or a navigation bar inside a JS code or HTML code without React. So you have to copy paste the navigation code again and again. Okay, now you don't have to do that. Just create one code of navigation and just import that wherever you need it. Import that component whenever you need it. Okay, so here code reusability is there a lot. These components are used a lot. So whenever I need a logic this, I'll just import that component wherever I need it. So when you create a navigation bar, this is the best example you guys must have observed. You have to literally copy paste your code in HTML. Okay, let's say you need the same navigation bar on 10 pages. You have to copy paste it. Here you don't have to copy paste. You just need to import that component and make it a part of this part, JSX. Okay. Now, next part is updation. Okay, for that you guys can just check this out. How to use CSS in class in JSEffect. Okay, guys, here how we include CSS file. Just right click here. Okay, create a CSS file. Let's say display.csv. Now here just import that CSS file. Okay, and here whatever class you're going to create here, let's say dot style let's say style some element. Randomly I'm adding, let's say color pick. Okay, here we have to write class name equal to style hyphen element. That's it. This is how you can use CSS here. Guys, is my screen not visible to anyone? Is my screen visible to everyone? Yeah, Sneha, maybe you can check internet at your end. Yeah. All right. Okay. Any questions, anyone till now? Anything? JS Fiddle. Okay, guys, in JS Fiddle, Here you need to select the framework. Okay. Just select this one. Okay. And here you have to start writing your code from class, app, extends, that code. Okay. Create the class here. Let's say dot style element like I created and add it here. So basically JS Fiddle, you have to write this much code. Okay. And this is how you have to put the in CSS. Yes, Rajit, you can use SCSS or SAS as well. That is also allowed. Only the CSS file extension gets changed. Okay. You can use that. The only difference in HTML, you guys use class attribute. Here we use class name attribute. Okay. So this is what we have in useState. Okay. Definitely updation is also there that you guys need to check out. How will this CSS file? You don't have to import it. In CSS, it's already linked. These three are already linked here. So you can just put CSS code. In JS Fiddle, like I said, you have to start writing code from this const file. You don't need even these two files. Okay. All right. Moving on, team. Lastly, we have useEffect. So again, useEffect, to understand useEffect, like I explained, state here, you guys need to understand one topic, that is lifecycle component. Okay. I'll explain the lifecycle component first. So guys, just like you have lifecycle of a human being, let's say we are born, we work, and then we die. Okay. Say we have a lifecycle of a butterfly. I think 4 steps are there. The same way, lifecycle of a component. Let's say lifecycle of a component means a component is created, counted, updated, and deleted. Okay. That means when you guys create a state and when you first very initial render when it goes into the UI. Okay. Let me execute this. This is how you need to execute this code. Like otherwise you guys right click here, open with live server. This is how we do in HTML, right? Here you guys have to execute like this. Here you can see the output. Okay. My name is Alina, age is this. This data is coming firstly, then display component is getting rendered. So display is returning this P element, which is where I've added pink color. See, pink color is added. I added the class. And this is the array elements gets displayed here. And the age value. Okay. So this is what we call as mounting stage over here. This is a mounting stage. That is initially a component state is created and rendered in the UI. Next step comes in the updation part. Okay. Updation I have not shown you guys, but you can update using these methods on click of a button, let's say. And third stage is deletion of component. We don't have those lifecycle methods inside function-based component again. Okay. Yes, Steve, I'll suggest a course in the end. No worries. Okay. I understand a lot of people were not from the React background or they didn't know. Okay. Still they're able to understand basic. It's great. I'll suggest something in the end. No worries. So we don't have any lifecycle components again inside function, which we have in class-based. Okay. So we use useEffect, which is the replacement of lifecycle method for function component. Okay. Again, useEffect means managing the side effects. For example, if API call is happening, if some data is getting updated, that is what we handle using useEffect. useEffect, again, it's a hook. It's a normal function, okay, method. Now, the way in this, we pass one second parameter. Based on that, we handle this useEffect. Now, in lifecycle component, these are like few methods that we have. We have a lot more methods like let's say get snapshot, then we have a constructor function, we have render, right? So these are the names, don't get confused. These are just the lifecycle methods, okay? So in lifecycle component method team, we have few methods that we have as the predefined. So these are also 3 methods that we have, okay? Which is the replacement. So that means, for example, let's say we have 12 methods in a class-based component, but in a function-based component, useEffect, we can achieve only these 3 methods. You can put it that. Okay, I'm not going into what these methods are because then for understanding those, you need to have basic knowledge of lifecycle again. Okay, so that is what we have in useEffect. To understand this useEffect topic, again, you guys need to have basic knowledge of lifecycle components first. Let me quickly check if I already have a code written somewhere. Just a second. I'll check if I already have a code written. Yeah. This is how we write these lifecycle methods. Okay. This is the constructor function, component will mount, component did mount. These all are predefined. Okay. And they know the order when they need to be executed. Handle update, should component. So these are predefined methods. Okay. Now, if I go to useEffect here. So this is how you can see the useEffect. Okay. I created the class data. This is how you can use the useEffect. Okay. Because useEffect, again, the lifecycle method that I was talking about here, these methods. Okay. So see, there are so many methods that we have here. Lifecycle methods. A lot of methods are there. Okay. Out of these, we can only achieve 3 methods. That is did mount, did update, and will unmount. Are those 3 methods. So how we achieve these 3 methods using only one, let's say only one method. Okay. By this second parameter that you guys pass. Okay. So if you are not passing any second parameter here, so useEffect takes a callback function and second parameter as empty array. If you're not passing any second, let's say array, okay, second parameter, then it will work like a component did mount. If you pass a second array as empty, then it will work like a component will unmount. And if you pass an array as some value inside it, some state data basically, whenever that state data is updated, and then this callback is called again. So that is what did update is. Okay. Now to understand this useEffect, you need to have basic knowledge of this did mount, update, and this. And these methods I just showed you guys through code. This is the place we use it. Okay. This is what useEffect is. Like say if you want to do API calls, if you want to change something on, let's say some data is updating, you want to add some effect. That time we use that useEffect. Okay. Now, any questions before we go further? Any questions, anyone you guys want me to explain? Apart from what we planned today, anything you guys want to ask from React? Anything? Okay. Rajit, just to break it down, if you have a requirement of using lifecycle methods very completely, okay? Because even using useEffect, you can only have 3 methods. If you have to use complete structure of lifecycle methods, okay, if you want to have a state data, that time we go with class based. But in the introduction of hooks, okay, we can have a state here. And if you are sure you need only these 3 methods, let's say you just want to do API calls, okay, that did mount will help you with those API calls. Okay, simply you can go ahead and use function-based component. In fact, in this year, React 18 is introduced. Okay, in this React 18, majorly function-based component is used. So they are promoting more of using function-based. But again, it depends on a lot of scenarios, because let's say every year they are coming with different versions. Okay, at least after every 1 or 2 years they are coming. And let's say someone started a project in 2021. For that person, it's not easy to switch from, let's say, 17 to 18 or 18 to, let's say, next year, let's say 19 is coming. So it depends upon the project requirement. Okay, if someone is starting the project today and they are using, let's say, React 17, they will definitely prefer more of function-based component. But if you're working on 16.8 and before, definitely you will just go with class-based components. Okay, so it depends upon a lot of factors. HOC, okay. So Pooja, HOC is higher ordered components. Okay, for example, when we use it, I'll give you a basic overview. Okay, let's say, let me just go to the white part. So let's say then I have a machine here. Okay, this is a baking machine. And then I will put my pizza from this place, pizza bread from this place, and it will come out from this place. Okay, this will be my pizza baked bread. Okay, so you can put it that way. You have a pizza bread, which is a component. Okay, and this is another component which is already created. So you are passing away one component from another component, and in resultant, what you will get, your pizza bread is also there, plus it is baked as well. So this is called high-order component or supercharged component, which is having its own properties as well, plus it is passed through some other component as well. Okay, in a very layman language, you can put it that. Okay, this is also component, this is also component. You're putting one component through one. You can use, where we use it, let's say you have a component and you want to add some color to it. So you will have a color component and you will just pass your component to that color component, and your component elements will also have the colors in UI. Okay, any other questions, anyone? Okay, now for the course team, okay, those who are asking, you can contact SkillUpRight for the course. Okay, if you guys come, I will be your trainer. Okay, I understand we kind of initial topics, whatever we discussed, it was little, quick that we saw, because I was assuming you guys will have already the basic knowledge of React. Still, I tried my level best to at least give you guys an overview about those topics, and then let me start with the topics that we plan for the day. So you can, this is the website that you can go for. I'll just drop the link and contact number in the chat box. Okay. So if you guys will come, it will be me who will be taking the complete sessions. So definitely we'll start from ES6. Okay. So we will be starting from ECMAScript 6, ES6. Okay. When you will come from the for the React course. This is the mobile number for contact, and this is the link I've dropped in the chat box for the course. Any questions, anyone? Anything apart from technical, non-technical, anything in React you guys would like to ask? Yes, Ravjit, you can use TypeScript as well. Okay. So guys, TypeScript also we can use instead of, one more thing, it's JS only. Okay. You can put it that way. We have to use ES6. Okay. When you use TypeScript in React, you use ES6 plus you use TypeScript as well. Only TypeScript we don't use. Okay. Because at the end of the day, you have to create class components. Okay. We use interface from TypeScript, but we use class base. Can we a link that you guys can use? If you want, I can drop my maybe mail ID if you want. I can drop that. Okay. I've dropped. Otherwise, you can just contact. I mean, these are the main contact details. This is the contact number you can do. And if you guys get any question related to course, query, anything, you can just contact this person. Okay, on this mobile number. This is not my number. This is the number from Upskill team. New design to code. Okay, so Gopi, you're asking something like Drone HQ, like we have tools where you just have to kind of drag and drop, and then you just have to, you will get the website. Just like drag and drop, that is what you're asking? Okay. See, definitely those have a benefit in terms of, let's say, I want to create a basic UI, but there is one thing that I've observed since I've worked with few clients, that there is a lot of repetition there. Definitely in templates. In templates, there will be repetition. In WordPress, if you see, you select the template, but definitely you change the color, you change the positioning and all. Definitely, secondly, it depends on the requirement. If you talk about a big project, definitely you will not prefer to just do drag and drop. You will prefer to go with writing the code from scratch. And when you talk about React, you have to go by coding only. There is no platform I've heard they provide you to drag and drop in React.js. With HTML, CSS, and JS basic, they do provide. Yes, Pankaj, Vue.js is different from React.js. Okay, this is the error you are getting. Line number. This JSX that you are writing, this is the issue with this. Okay, so JSX that you are writing, maybe while writing the code you missed something. Okay, this JSX the issue is, or I would suggest, but this is the way of writing it. And otherwise, I'll just suggest go with the proper setup and all. And if you have plans of working with React only in future team, then this is the best way to get started. I will be guiding you guys through basics, advanced. We will be working on real-time projects. and all that part. Any other questions, anyone? Lumana, Seema, Shivraj, Sonia, Shravani, Vijay, Vikas, Vinay, Vishal. Any questions, guys? Pooja, Pranav, Nihar, Musin, Leena, Kiran, Ravi, Teja, Kasonko, Jeevan, Ishan, Kanksha, Dash. Anything you guys would like to ask about the codes or anything like that? Arjun, Chaitanya, Kafoor. Cost and everything, Manpreet, the upskill team will guide you through this. Okay, so this is the website or the number. SkillUpRight team will guide you through the process for all those things. Okay, no worries. I'll drop the code in a chat box. Okay, those who need this code, I'm just a second. Okay, I cannot drop the file. I'm dropping the code. Okay, this is display.js file, and this is app.js file. Avinash, in JS Fiddle, basically you just need to use this code, okay? Plus, you need to check the compatibilities for that, whatever it is, okay? This is the place you need to start. Maybe the React version you selected, maybe that is creating the issue or something like that, okay? Prashant, Priyanka, Pulkit, Radhika, Ratika, Roberto, Sandeep, Santosh, Srinivasan, Sudhakar, Sushant, okay, Utpal, Tilak, Urvashi, Kaushik, Khushbu. Guys, yes, you can use Sandbox as well. I mean, there are so many online editors. I think we can wrap for the day. Any questions? Anyone has any questions? Can we use like we use PHP in front end there, but we don't use PHP. It's purely JS. So React.js is a front end library written over the top of JS. So you have to read JS. Purely JavaScript you need to write. We don't even prefer to use jQuery in fact. Anyone has any questions before we wrap for the day? Okay. Pankaj, when we talk about powerful handle complex app, it's totally depend upon the goal and requirement of the project. If you need a project, like you don't need a regular updation, you just need updation only on when user changes the data, we will go with React.js. Okay. So to understand in detail how React is different and all that part, you guys can offer complete course because generally during the course, we explain in detail about all these things. But for now, I'm not saying Angular is good or React is good, but it's totally dependent upon the application requirement, which you really need. Thank you guys. Have a nice day. Bye. Uh, you can for the recording team, you can ask again on the same number or for the team to the team. Okay. If you guys get any questions in future apart from the course or anything, just drop there to the SkillUpRight team or the mail ID. Okay. Thank you guys. Bye.